Top 10 insane cases on Judge Faith. Judge Faith may not be as old as the other judges we're used to, but she's equally fierce, and her rulings are final. In this video, we're going to count down the top 10 insane cases on Judge Faith. Leave us your thoughts after viewing the video. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Let's get it going. 10. Roy vs. Elle. Roy claims that he loaned money to his former friend, but when he asked Elle to give him back the money, things changed. Elle said that Roy hid his identity from him and the money was a gift between lovers. Roy insisted that they were just friends, but Elle had evidence to prove that their relationship was more than just a friendship. She sent Roy a picture of her cat, and Roy replied, "I like cats. Can I come over?" Elle also revealed the text exchange between her and Roy, where he called her baby and told her he loved her. Loverboy replied and said that the words didn't mean anything because he said the same thing to other friends. Well, there was also a picture of them kissing on the lips, and I highly doubt he kisses all his friends on the lips. The only reason Judge Faith ruled in favor of the plaintiff was a note which stated that Elle would pay back the $3,000, and she had stamped her fingerprint on the letter to seal the contract. It's always a battle between some landlords and their tenants, even when the agreement of occupation is crystal clear. 9. Drew vs. Stanley and Aaron Clark. Drew was suing his former tenants because they left the house in a total mess when they were moving out. The tenants were also countersuing for defamation, security fees, and legal fees. When Stanley and his wife moved into the house, they knew that no pets of any kind were allowed on the property. However, they called Drew and begged him to let them get a dog, and the kind landlord allowed it. Days later, Drew started receiving complaints about the dog, and an animal officer was involved in the case. Stanley did all the explaining and didn't let his wife say anything until he was done speaking to the judge. He got Judge Faith worked up when he started playing lawyer for the cases and quoting laws for the judge. The tenants couldn't prove harassment and defamation, so the judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff. However, he'd also exaggerated the damages, so he was paid $2,600 instead of $7,000. Some people try to outsmart the judge, and they forget that the judge went to school to learn how to filter lies from the truth. 8. Jacob vs. Joe Houghton. Jacob claimed that his cousin filed a false return of his taxes and kept the refund without notifying him. Judge Faith had a background check on the defendant, and she found a legal issue which Joe Houghton supposedly didn't have a recollection of. After her mom gave a testimony, she admitted that the previous legal issue wasn't part of the case before the judge. The IRS visited Jacob at his home, and the agent told him that he was a victim of identity theft. His cousin, whom he trusted with his personal information, had registered his tax returns as a business, yet he didn't own any business. The defendant denied all the claims, yet a copy of the tax returns indicated that the money was wired electronically into her account. The only thing Judge Faith could do within her jurisdiction was order the defendant to give back the $2,500 she charged as legal fees, and Jacob would have to take the case to federal government. Some black women are already struggling with their hair, so it's a big deal if their hairstylist messes it up. 7. Teresa vs. Helen. Miss Lewis went to the salon to get her hair styled, but she left the place without her hair. As the stylist was washing her hair after applying relaxer, Teresa's hair fell off. She was suing for emotional damage and styling expenses. The defendant said that she told her that it was too soon to apply relaxer, but her plaintiff insisted. Miss Lewis had been to Helen's salon a couple of times, and she said that if Helen thought relaxing her hair would damage her hair, she should have informed her before perming it. Judge Faith isn't a hair specialist, so she asked a celebrity stylist to listen in on the case and give an expert opinion. She understood that Helen didn't damage her hair on purpose, but her counterclaim of emotional stress was outrageous. The only person who suffered damage was the plaintiff, and she judged in favor of Miss Lewis. As agreed earlier, the stylist would continue doing her hair until it grew back and pay her $3,000 for emotional stress. When it comes to friendships and loans, things may get complicated because one may quickly lose their money and their friend. 6. Brandi vs. Frank. Brandi was suing the defendant for an unpaid loan and a bad check. She was working in the same building as Frank, and they gradually became good friends. Frank asked Brandi for a loan of $250 and told her that he'd pay back because he was waiting for a substantial settlement for his wife's death. Unfortunately, his mother's husband also died, and he needed more money to see his mother. Brandi, the good friend, gave him another $250. Frank got a check for his settlement and asked Brandi to deposit it into her account because he didn't have a personal account. It was a wrong move for her to cash the check, but Brandi said that she was blinded by the fact that she'd finally get her money back. The check turned out to be fake, and Frank said that he got the check and a letter from someone named Lisa online. Outrageous. His story wasn't adding up, and Judge Faith asked the officer to get his credentials as soon as he left the courtroom, because there was a possibility that his name wasn't Frank. Prom nights are vital for girls in their senior year, and everything needs to be perfect on that day, especially the dress. 5. Michelle versus Tyron. Damona's prom night was around the corner, and she needed someone to custom make the perfect dress for her. Her boyfriend's sister told her about Tyron, and like every teenager, she checked the designer on Instagram and loved his work. They set up an appointment, and the tailor took all the necessary measurements. Damona chose a design which a celebrity wore to an event, and Tyron would make something similar. But it couldn't be the same dress. Obviously, the celebrity dress was too expensive, and the tailor couldn't access the same materials used for the outfit. They had an agreement that the dress would be ready a week before prom, but when Damona went for it, she only found cutouts. She went back the night before the dance and spent the night at the studio waiting for Tyron to finish her dress, and the final product was horrible. Judge Faith ruled in favor of the plaintiff, but she also appreciated the young tailor who had other amazing pieces but dropped the ball on that particular outfit. It's normal for people to exchange services for other services if they can't pay in cash, even if the valuations of the services aren't the same. 4. Margaret versus John. Margaret is a doctor who first met Heather and then later met John, who needed dental services. John overheard Margaret talking about her bathroom malfunction, and he offered to repair the bathroom if she took care of his dental issues. John got his dental problems fixed, and he started working on Margaret's bathroom, but he never completed the job. Margaret called Heather after a while, and she told her that John was arrested. The whole situation turned into a mess when Heather got in charge, and they happened to mix business with pleasure. John eventually got out of jail, and he was countersuing for emotional stress because his temporary tooth fell off. He said that he wasn't confident about himself and couldn't even smile. As a result, John lost a lot of jobs. Judge Faith ordered the doctor to fix John's tooth, but he had to pay back $4,000 he took from her for purchasing materials. Unless a person wants to be mean, it's insane to follow up on a small accident-related case and spend more money trying to prove a point. 3. Veronique versus Rachel. Veronique claims that Rachel destroyed her phone and she was suing for damaged property and emotional stress. Rachel, on the other hand, said that the day the phone fell, they were both drunk and it wasn't her fault that it got destroyed. Rachel agreed through phone messages that she'd pay $150 because she felt terrible about the incident, but she didn't pay. Veronique drove to Rachel's workplace and had dinner with a friend. Get this, it was a 2-hour drive back and forth and a $70 dinner to collect $150. Wow. She then sent Rachel court documents and a text with a couple of insults. Veronique was a bit ridiculous considering she also filed a $50 case. Rachel was countersuing for emotional distress because the court documents were sent to her place of work, but Judge Faith dismissed her counterclaim because, from her text messages, she promised to pay for the phone. She also dismissed the case because Veronique couldn't prove negligence. The phone simply fell by accident. The next case involved booze, a fight, and 2 people who couldn't remember what happened during the day of the fight. 2. Aisha versus Laura. Aisha and Laura both worked at an adult nightclub, and they ended up becoming good friends who helped each other in times of need. One afternoon, they were having a good time, and they drank approximately 2 bottles of vodka. The events which followed cost them their friendship. The two had made a pact saying that they'd never physically fight, but after something which they both didn't remember happened, they fought. Laura bit Aisha's finger, and she stuck her finger next to Laura's eye. Aisha didn't file a police report until 6 months later, and they were appearing in court 1 year after the incident. It was difficult for Judge Faith to put the pieces together because they didn't even know what started the fight, so she dismissed the case. People post their businesses on social media, but doing any illegal activity on a public thread is just dumb. I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works. 1. Amber versus Kiana. Amber was having issues renewing her car registration because of unpaid tickets. A friend of hers who lived in the neighborhood offered to help with the situation. He said that he knew someone from the DMV who'd speed up the process and she wouldn't have to wait 30 days to get her car back. Kiana said that she didn't know Amber and she'd never worked for the DMV, but text messages proved that there was a conversation via her number about car tickets. Amber
number, you say okay. You ask her, is this information, is this under your name? She says yes. Here's the 1-800.
Amber paid half the amount she was supposed to pay for the tickets, and she got her car back the next day. Months later, she got emails saying that the card used to pay for the tickets was fraudulent. Kiana insisted that everything she was texting was under her ex-boyfriend's commands, and she had nothing to do with the case. Judge Faith also pulled up Instagram photos by Kiana where she had a conversation with other people about credits. Judge Faith had a reason to believe that Kiana was involved in a credit card scam and she wasn't working alone. Eventually, the law would catch up with her, but for a start, she had to pay back the $2,800 she took from Amber. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.